Hello, my name is Perry Trevithick. I'm the CEO of Superior CEO. I want to talk to you a little bit today about constructing your company to cash out. So let me share my screen here. I hope this is something you find valuable, and I'm looking forward to hear your feedback. So here's the agenda today. The introduction I just gave. I'm Perry Trevithick, CEO of Superior CFO. We're going to talk about why constructing your company to cash out is important. We're going to talk about the main factors in constructing a company to cash out, and then dig into the details. And then we'll have a short wrap up. And I look forward to your feedback on this. So let's talk about why constructing your company to cash out is important. I believe that most of us building our businesses desire to serve clients and our families. And if we build our businesses to run without our day-to-day involvement, clients, our team, and our families will be served at a higher level. Also, we never know what the future holds. We may not be planning to sell our business anytime soon, but I believe that most of us desire to have a valuable business that runs well, even if we take a long vacation. And if we get hit by the proverbial bus, our families will be in far better shape because we built our businesses to cash out. And then I believe that our business skills are a divine gift given to us to serve others. 1 Peter 4:10 says, as each one has received a special gift, employ it in serving one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. And I believe even if you're not a Christian like I am, most people would agree that the skills and opportunities that we've been given as business people are primarily to serve others. So what are the main factors in constructing your company to cash out? The first is to build a great management team that can run the business without you. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons is to develop your team members. I believe they become better people and often better family members. You can grow a bigger business and have more impact. Your customers will be served at a higher level. Like Steve Jobs says, you don't want the best way to build your team is to make sure you're not the smartest person in the room. None of us have a monopoly on good ideas. So let's get a lot of people together that have different viewpoints and cherry pick the best ideas, work together as a team, help. That way we all can come together and actually have a result that's far better than the collective will be better than the sum of the individuals. So that's really key to running a great business. My background is strategic planning, and I think it's so important to build a superior strategic plan that covers the areas of values and beliefs, finance and operations, marketing, and sales. And one of the, just a silly example to demonstrate how key a strategic plan is to think about how farmers used to operate and probably still do. When they plow a row, they have something in the distance that's a target for them, so they can go straight towards it. And that way the rows are nice and straight, and it's easy to farm. If you don't do that, you wander all over the place. No, that's how it is with me when I mow the lawn. I have something in the distance, I can walk straight towards it. Or if I don't, I'm wandering all over the place. And it's the same for any organization. If you have some long-term goals that everybody's striving for, and then are broken down steps along the way to achieve those goals, that's a good way to keep everybody on track. You can build your team around your values and beliefs, and then you've got an aligned team of people who are excited to achieve the goals. And that is a big part of making business fun. Another main factor is to install what I call a world-class firm of endearment culture. There's a book called Firms of Endearment where the authors did a lot of research and showed that companies that love everybody they touch actually make more money. Typically, these companies are highly rated places to work. And by loving everybody the company touches, that means the community, means obviously their team members, their clients, even competitors, and even government regulators. So, there's times you might want to cooperate with your competitors. Sometimes people get somebody gets an order bigger than they can handle. Well, sometimes they can. I've seen times when they reach out to a competitor and the competitor helps them fulfill that order. They cooperate. And so anyway, just that is a great way to operate your business, build that into your culture, and help you be a higher performer. You want to build predictable, recurring revenue streams, and there's steps we can take to do that. Makes life a whole lot easier when you've got at least some form of recurring revenue. We want to document processes, constantly test and refine. I know I get frustrated if I make the same mistake more than once. Well, let's create great processes and make sure we don't do that. We want to practice excellent habits in finance that build cash reserves and make your team financially literate. Like, for example, let's say your margin is 5%, or let's say 10%. So we use 10% as a number. And somebody does something that causes $1,000 loss. You can explain to them that now you have to, that $1,000 loss just ate the profit from $10,000 worth of sales. That really brings home the need to be careful to your team members and helps them understand that the more they understand about your finance of your company, the more they can help you improve those finances. Building cash reserves, I think, especially times like this when the economy is starting to slow down, that I think we all see the importance of that. Gives you safety margin, allows you to take advantage of opportunities. And ultimately, the extent to which any business can survive and thrive and become more valuable is based on its ability to generate cash. So having excellent habits in finance is so important. We want to run our businesses with proactive OKRs, that's objectives and key results, and KPIs, key performance indicators. I like using a red, yellow, green, and super green system. In fact, having a dashboard with 12 or 24 months of history so that CEO and leadership team quickly scan and see the progress of their different OKRs and KPIs. Maybe this one started out red and it's green, and now it's actually super green. Red means that you're in danger of missing the goal. Green is you're on track to achieve your goal. Yellow is between the two, obviously. And then super green is something for our high achievers. That means that we've got it, we can possibly reach, as just an example, 120% of our goal. So we want to always hang something out there for people to shoot for beyond just our goal. People like to perform well, and let's gamify the system to help them do that. And then we want a percentage of goals in our dashboards. I like having the color coded, and then for a lot of people having the percentages there as well. Run our team meetings with a future focus. So many organizations I've been around, they show up and they spend a fair amount of time recaching history. Well, let's distribute those historical reports before the meeting, and let's have everybody review them and then show up with a plan on how to improve things at the meeting. The meeting should have a future focus. We can rehash history before we get there. So let's make the meeting as productive as possible. And then we want to construct a plan to cash out our company for top dollar according to your values. And for example, your values might be that you want to keep the company in the town where it operates. It's a key part of the local economy. And so one part of your plan would be that the seller would keep the business in that town. Or maybe you want to sell the business to your employees, and there's tax advantages ways to do that, tax advantaged ways. So there's just a lot of things you can do to make sure that that you cash out your company according to your values. But let's put the plan in place beforehand so that when it eventually happens, it is according to the way you wanted to do it, and it's an orderly process, and you can get top dollar. All right, so let's talk now about different levels of business success. And I've seen, 4 as I put together here, 7 different levels, or some call them stages. I call them levels because many a company has ascended these levels and then descended and eventually went out of business. So the goal is to ascend to the highest level and stay there. And so the four levels are that I've identified here are strugglers, survivors, thrivers, and elite. And the far majority of businesses start out as strugglers. They're not strategic. They have short-term thinking. They're reliant on their owners. They struggle with their finances, and they're not especially financially savvy. Well, what the goal is, of course, to get to not be a struggler, but a survivor. Let's get to the next level. So how do we do that? The bridge is to create and implement a strategic plan, and I put implement in capital letters because a lot of people create a plan, but they don't implement it. Goes in the CEO's desk and never gets implemented. In fact, the Harvard Business Review did a study of senior executives, and 87% of them said that the results of the strategic plan wasn't worth all the effort that went into creating it. Well, I contend that's because they didn't implement it. If you do a search on strategic planning, you get a lot of results back on how to create one, but not a whole lot on implementing a plan. So there's certainly things you can do to implement it. That's where the fun is. And so we want to make that a priority. So we want to create our first set of OKRs and KPIs. I explained already what those are. And start documenting and using repeatable processes. And even as a solopreneur, think about, as I go along, you're just for yourself, let alone future employees. Start documenting your process. Like, for example, I used a new piece of software in my business today. Well, I've got a little sheet called my Google sheet called Tech Stack. So I added the key information there so that I don't, if I have to think of, I know I used a tool in the past. Which one did I use? Well, I've got all the website and all that information right there. It's even got the monthly fees and when it expires and so on, the term. So anyway, just document stuff as you go along, makes life a lot easier, prevents a bunch of silly mistakes. So hopefully all of us will take our companies from being survivors to thrivers. This is where we fully implement the strategic plan. And then not only do we have great finance systems where we know our margins and so on, but we take that same mentality of carefully measuring the most important things of our business to every aspect of the business. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our CRM, our customer relationship management system. And this is something that I've seen very few small companies do, but it's so important. So we want to map out the journey in your client acquisition process, which are two sides of the same coin. Map it out. And let's say, for example, you map everything out and you calculate conversion ratio. And this is by source because you want to do it. Each source of your clients may have different conversion ratios. And let's say you've done that. And just as an example, the conversion ratio between the step in the customer journey where a customer visits your website and they book a sales call is 3%. And for example, everything else being equal, we're able to increase that ratio from 3% to 5%. Well, that's a 2% increase. That's nice. Well, actually, if you do the math, everything else being equal, you just increased sales 67%. The 2 increase divided by the 3 original number, that's 67% increase. So that shows you how powerful it can be if we actually measure and then try and start to tweak those ratios. And then, of course, document, test, and train on processes. And I explained documenting processes and all the little things in your business. We want to test them on a regular basis. I even like using documenting like an auditor would with different symbols to reflect, decision points and where data comes in, or, really thorough documentation, and then to train on them. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you get a new team member. Hopefully you've built out what I call a university for your company, and you've got videos and all sorts of information, different formats that the team members find useful. And so the new team member, this is an ideal situation. The team member comes in and trains using those resources before they shadow an employee who already does that job. So we want to show the employee how we want them, the team member, how we want this job to be done, best practices within the company, rather than just doing it the way somebody else does it. And in some cases, a new team member will come in and be able to correct an existing team member, and they both improve. So at the end of that, you'll be a thriver. Your strategic plan will be implemented well. Hope you don't mind we have a guardian dog. He's keeping us safe. Hope you don't mind that in the background. Strategic plan is implemented well. So that means we have a team of people aligned with our beliefs and values and our strategic goals. They're in line with our culture. We evaluate people both on a culture fit and performance. And even if they're a great performer, but they're not a culture fit, then they can't be part of the company, because that, to keep them on, would just tell everybody that your culture is not important to you. And culture is one of the most important things in having a great business. So anyway, that's part of implementing your strategic plan. We're proactive in our use of OKRs and KPIs. We have excellent finances. We've started to build predictable recurring revenue, and we have documented repeated processes. So now we're at the third level. And these their color-coded sections at the bottom are probably a little inaccurate. I looked, I couldn't really find that there was a study done on what percentage of businesses might be in these kind of different levels. My guess is that the thrivers, that might be fair for the thrivers, but the elite would certainly be, I think, much smaller. Might be so small that it wouldn't even show up here. So let's look at what it would take to be an elite company. So the bridge from being a thriver to being an elite company is we create a firm of endearment. And there was a couple of academicians did a study on what it would, in fact, the name of the book was Firms of Endearment. And what that meant was the company loves everybody it touches. That's the team members, clients, the people in its community, even competitors, government regulators, everybody. And obviously they're just good, local citizens. I mean, what business wants the people in their community to resent them being there? You want to be, it's best to be considered to be a desirable employer. And life is just a lot easier when you're loving the people around you than to have any kind of needless friction. Want to constantly test, fine-tune, forecast process. So by the way, companies that are scored high on the Firms of Endearment criteria made order of magnitude more money than those who don't. We'll constantly test and fine-tune forecast processes. In fact, I've got a software client we just talked today about. We want to start. They do a very good job of tracking the time that it takes to do the software development for anyone, what they call story point in the software. Well, my suggestion was, let's start honing in on that. Let's track what the original estimate is and what any changes to it. And because the more we can start to forecast accurately, both financially, what it takes in terms of product development, and even within our market and economy, the better we can run our company, be less wasted resources. An elite company has an exit plan that's constructed according to the owner's values. And that might be, for example, maybe to keep the company in the town where it's located. It's a key part of the town, and you don't want to disrupt the local economy by having somebody buy it and move the business out, or maybe to sell the business to the employees who helped you build it. So there's lots of different things you can do, some of which are even tax advantaged. So let's think those things through and get a plan in place ahead of time. An elite company has cash reserves. In fact, it might even fit well with a thriver. Cash reserve are so important. We can see when the economy slows down how important that is. And then also when the economy slows down, those cash reserves can be very handy. You can snap up resources, including key people from competitors or others in the key people in your industry. If you have cash reserves to do that, you can make investments and get assets on the cheap when the economy slows down. And it certainly is a cushion. It's nice. I remember Bill Gates used to like to have 1 year of payroll in the bank. And I mean, I'm not saying that's the right level or whatever, but it's just nice to know that if the worst happens, we're going to be able to keep this business afloat until we get things figured out. And then I also have on here, the elite companies have a coach to help them stay elite. And I would bet that's true of every elite company. In fact, I'm not just saying this because I am a coach, but I think it's important to have a coach at every step of the way. It'll help you ascend these levels faster. A coach will help hold you accountable. A coach can it's lonely being a company leader, and a coach can help you see your blind spots. We all have blind spots, and a coach can help you see your own blind spots and help you and your team perform better. So, and a good coach is worth a multiple. The ROI is a big multiple of whatever their fee might be. So we put all that together, and you can be an elite company, and that's a company that will attract the highest possible multiple should you decide to sell it one day. And just another thought I want to throw out there is that we will all exit our business one day, either feet first or some other way, but we will all exit our business. So why not plan to do it for the highest possible dollar amount according to our values? All right, so I've talked more than you probably want to hear. I hope this has been valuable to you. I look forward to any comments you might have. I'm sure I've left some things out, but my goal is not, just a short presentation like this. There's no way to cover everything, but just to get us all thinking about how we can become better as a company, what those different levels might be. Some people have 4, some people have 7, and so on. But just to start thinking about what it takes to build a better company and what we can do to lay in a plan and achieve it. So I look forward to, like I said, any comments you might have. I thank you for your attention.